I don't think this country lacks knowledge. I don't think this country lacks structures. I don't think this country lacks mechanisms.
A lot of issues that Pakistan is facing is because we have a huge number of people, individuals and population. And I feel like, the entire burden is on population because then we will be able to manage all of other resources.
The challenge is not the size of the population. The narrative in Pakistan about population is old narrative.
Population is a hurdle in the growth of economy of a country. But then we have China's example.
China improved its economy when the government decided to invest in educated people.
If I upload to a public account, I then face the risk of having to face digital violence.
There has to be a certain age where you allow the children to go and have the exposure of social media.
Young people can teach other young people, coach other young people, inform them about their rights.
Do you think the fear of harassment and violence is the barrier for a boy or a girl to work or to live or to study?
For girls, yes, definitely. Not in Pakistan, everywhere. But in Pakistan is too much. Assalamu alaikum. Hello everyone. My name is Luay Shabaneh. I am coming from Palestine. I am the representative of UNFPA and I'm a father of 2 boys and 1 girl. 11th of July, the world marked this day to discuss issues about population growth, the relationship between population and economy, and the aspirations and the future of nations. Today, we are going to discuss this in the context of Pakistan, the challenges that is facing the people, young people, and also the nation as a whole. Here, we have 4 guests, and I'm happy to introduce them, and let me start from my right.
Peace, greetings everyone. My name is Jayaa Jaggi. I'm a minority rights activist and member of YPeer, Youth Peer Educator Network by UNFPA.
My name is Sarim Durrani, an A-level student, and I'm doing computer science, and my core subject is artificial intelligence.
I'm Ahson Haqqani. I'm an anchor and a broadcaster for the state channel of Pakistan.
I'm Midhah Saleh. I am an A-level student and a debater and writer by passion.
All right. I'll be happy to discuss with you, answer some questions, but also I expect from you to enrich the discussions. Yeah, so let's start from Ahson.
Thank you for giving the youth of Pakistan this opportunity today. It's wonderful to have you. And the very first question would be, you've served in more than 22 different Arab states, and you've been the regional director over there. How did you find Pakistan different from that?
Pakistan is very different. It's very special. First of all, when you enter as somebody who is coming for the first time to Pakistan, you feel that you are approaching a very religious community. But afterwards, when you start looking, you could see that it's more governed by social norms, more conservative, rather than a very religious environment. Pakistanis are very generous, very modest. If I compare them with the other Arab countries, they are very modest. They are pure South Asian nature. As a Palestinian, I felt home from day one. I was very welcomed from everybody in the country, in the government, in the society, in neighbors, everyone. So this is how I can see it.
Now, let's talk about population now, since Pakistan has 67% of people who are under 30. Is that an opportunity or a challenge?
Always population, in my opinion, is an opportunity. The challenge that is facing countries in general is not the size of the population. The largest 10 countries in terms of population, 7 of them are in the G20. So in the first place, the number of population is not by any means a problem. The problem is how the country is able to calibrate its human asset, which is the population, with its economic capability. This is, in my opinion, the right question to be on the table, and how to have the different categories of the people are contributing to the future of the nation. And I think this is the relevance of our discussion topic.
Dr. Luay, I was just wondering when you said it's an opportunity. As a young person, mostly I see conversation on a lot of issues that Pakistan is facing is because we have a huge number of people, individuals and population. And I feel like, the entire burden is on population because then we will be able to manage all of other resources. But now I feel like you are trying to shift my narrative around that. Population is not a challenge. How do you see it? I feel like it's a conflicting thought in me now.
You are right, because the narrative in Pakistan about population is old narrative, I must say that. When I came here, I was really surprised that everybody is speaking about control of population. Nobody can control population. And if the state tries to control the population, nobody will listen. And the countries who try to control population in the old days, like China, they have failed. And now they are facing serious problems of aging. They are having many more men than women. They are unable to establish families. So control should be taken out of the narrative. You can do tawazun, you can manage, but nobody has the right to intervene in my private life. If I want to have babies, when to have babies, how many to have them, this is my private area. And anyway, nobody is going to consult the government or somebody else when they decide to have a baby. Ask your parents. When they decided to have you, they were consulting their own conditions.
So do you think there is any recommendation you would have for Pakistan as governments to be able to better take care of its population?
I think the government and the role of the UN and civil society, activists, young people, all of us have one duty. This duty is to ensure that people are able to enjoy their right and to choose in which direction they want to go. But what we can do for them? We can educate them. We can provide them with the services. If they want to have more babies, to help them to have more babies. If they want to have less, to help them to have less, but also to educate them what are the consequences of a new baby. In the old days when I was young, it was just having a baby and then babies will grow up. Today, a baby is a huge economic burden. When I was young, it was in the small neighborhood. All of us know each other and we don't know anything about the world. But now your baby will know what's going in Brazil in the same minute. Therefore, parenthood is not anymore a biological function, but is a social function. It is an issue that a responsibility, and to have babies who are able to enjoy their life. So it's a real challenge now.
You mentioned before that Pakistan is a very conservative society, and then the UN also wants to educate these people on how they should go about these things. What hurdles do you think you will face if you try to educate Pakistan's population because they are conservative?
Look, Midhah, the responsibility of the UN is to open eyes. It is the responsibility of every segment in the society to educate. The role of you is much more important than the role of youth. We can give you the opportunity. I always say that the UN is a playground. It's not a playhouse. It's a playground where players can come and play. Therefore, I think it is very important that you take the lead. Because if you decide to enjoy your rights, nobody will stop you. So what we can do, we can educate through the networks that Jayaa is part of, which was what we call it, the Y-Peer. It's peer-to-peer education. Young people can teach other young people, coach other young people, inform them about their rights. And once they are getting their rights, everything will be fixed. The government has the aspiration to manage the economy and to ensure that people are having the right size. But who defined the right size?
Right. So when you talk about defining the right size, we'll look at a case study. You talked about having your own right of having children and how they're going to grow up. That is a personal choice. But then we have the example of China, the one-child policy that China used to have. At one stage, we started saying that population is a hurdle in the growth of economy of a country. But then we have China's example. How did China develop and progress so much?
China improved its economy not because of the one-child policy. On the contrary, one-child policy was a big challenge. China improved its economy when the government decided to invest in educated people, decided to open China for the global market, and hosted a lot of factories coming from everywhere on one condition. I allow you to come here to enjoy cheap labor, but on the contrary, you educate Chinese and empower them with the new technology. This is how they were able to penetrate to the global market. But today, China needs more and more people to lead the economy. So I don't think that the one-child policy is a good policy. It is one of the worst policies that has ever been endorsed. And I do not hope that Pakistan will look at it as a good example.
What would be a good example for Pakistan then?
In my opinion, the good example of Pakistan is to invest in the human capital. Human capital, good health, good education, skills for the future markets. This is where every young people is becoming an asset. At that time, the government is not required to provide jobs for people. They can go and penetrate to the global market if they are equipped. So I think, in my opinion, the entry point is the quality of the population, not the quantity. Trying to suppress the number of population will not solve the problem. Even if the government succeeds in that, it is not going to solve the problem unless people are highly educated, highly skillful, and I think in your case, Sarim, AI is an entry point. It is very important entry point. Technology is one of the solutions. In fact, on the 3rd of July, there was a global conference on the funding for and financing for development. One of the most important 4 takeaways of this conference is that countries are required to invest in technology, innovation, and artificial intelligence as a pathway to penetrate for the development achievement.
As you said that it is an opportunity that most of the people are under the age of 30. What do you think that they should be educated, right? About everything, about how to live, financial freedom, and family making, right? What is your opinion on this?
In my opinion, we need to have good citizens, balanced citizens, to have themselves. So they need life skills, education. It is very important for them. They need to know their bodies. They need access to information. They need to have labor market skills. They need everything. And I imagine myself, I remember the first one when I was young, I have too many questions. Questions about my future, what I want it to be, how can I communicate with other people, externals? How can I equip myself with languages so that I can have a ticket for other countries? But also, we need to know about growing. Every one of us has to have the ability to get inside him or herself so that they are able to find what is the special thing that I have. that I can utilize to be my ticket for my future.
Something very common in Pakistani society is that topics like sexual education are all considered to be a little bit taboo. So how do you believe that Pakistani society can move away from something like that?
I think this is a myth. I didn't see that it is a taboo. I did not see it as a taboo. It is like any other conservative environment. They don't want to speak about that in the public. But everybody is speaking in the private. Girls themselves, they speak about that. So it is up to us. It is up to the leaders of the country. Either I confess that these things happen in a way. Let me give you a story of my daughter. And I have a daughter now. She is 21. She's in the last year to become a dentist. When she was 12, I asked my wife, have you ever speak to her about boys and how she behaved with boys? He said, well, I'm very shy to speak about this. I said, okay, I won't do that. I'm coming from UNFPA. We are very open, liberal environment. So I said, Hala, let's go for a walk. And we started to speak. I started to pave the way to speak to her. The boys are speaking differently. They are looking differently about the girl. You need to know the way how they are thinking. And while I'm trying and struggling to tell her, I said, Papa, what you trying to say? I know everything. Yes. You do want me to? She was 12. I know everything. You don't need to struggle. I know everything. And I know even when a guy look at me, I can see if this is dirty or not dirty. So in my opinion, if we as a community do not confess that these things are there, we will not be able to sort out things. Now we speak about child marriage, and everybody don't want to speak about this. But child marriage is there. It is there. We don't speak about violence, but violence is there. So I think the first thing that we can do is to help young people how to grow in a natural way, how to grow in a balanced way so that they don't suffer. Because if they are suppressed, definitely they will suffer. And if they are suppressed, they will go for informal channels, and these channels might not have the proper information, and then they will be misled.
How is the UNFPA working on this specific thing of educating the youth?
UNFPA is a global organization. So in every country, we work with that within the context of the culture and the religion. Therefore, we in Pakistan here, we have a program called Education-Based Life Skills Education, which address a wide range of skills that we try to provide for young people, from knowing themselves, to communication, to presentation, to reproductive health, to sexual education, all these issues. There is a misconception in Pakistan and in many Arab countries and Muslim countries because of the language. When we speak about sexuality education, in many countries they thought that we are trying to teach people how to do sex. That's not true. What we are trying to educate people how to protect themselves, what to know about sexual diseases, transmission diseases, because they have to protect themselves.
Dr. Luay, while you were sharing your thoughts, I was reflecting on my life journey. In school, I could not learn about reproductive health, about my body, my agency, body autonomy. My parents also could not either talk about us. How did I learn? Probably through being a part of UNFPA network, and that was my only source of that information around life skills-based education. I also was wondering, what if those people who do not have these networks or do not have digital access, what is their source of information? They might be misguided through the part of private networks or friends they are part of, or there is misinformation. What are your thoughts? And also, when we give this information or we focus on life skill-based education, a lot of time people think, as you said, that we are probably trying to propagate a particular kind of narrative. But what I've seen is my relationships have also improved. The way I have learned about emotional resilience, around violence, particularly my agency and my body autonomy. So I think it has made me more confident on my life choices, as well as I have seen that my relationships, not just my romantic relationships, but my relationship with my siblings, my mother, my friends, that has also improved. So sometimes we miss how people who have this information, young people, they have better relationships and families, that sometimes we miss being a part of this, because we think that these conversations are probably individualistic and they'll cut you off from your family. So I really was wondering, what are your thoughts around it?
You are not alone. Many of our young people face these problems in most of the southern countries, particularly Muslim countries. I was 15 years. It was grade 10 or 9. It was grade 9 when we have this sexual organs in the body under biology class. And when our teacher reached this lesson, he said, "Read it, and it's not part of the test."
Similar situations over here too. Yeah, they'd avoid it.
Yes, they avoid it. And this is why what I see the role of UNFPA is crucial, because this is something natural. And when young people are unable to access this information at school, or at youth center, or inside the families, they will go for informal sources.
They would fantasize something that is not closer to reality.
Absolutely. And I think this is the mistakes that many governments are unfortunately are committing, because these issues are really important. Important to have a balanced person with emotional resilience, with understanding the dynamics of his or her own body. And if they understand themselves, they can communicate in a proper way and they act in a proper way.
Now, going back to the topic about education in schools, right? At least for the system that I'm in, the OA level system, biology is an elective subject, right? So unless you take biology, these life skill-based education, you don't really get it. Like if you take computer science or if you take the business subjects, you don't get to learn about any of this. And then there becomes this knowledge gap. And especially within Pakistan, you don't, unless you go out and try to seek that education on your own through, like you said, maybe, wrongful sources, then you might not get that information, right? So do you believe that life skill-based education should be a mandatory subject in schools? And if yes, what way would you implement it so that, it's more accessible and there's less backlash towards it?
Yeah, Midhah, thank you very much for this question. This is really important. I don't believe that we should address the sexuality education as part of biology. It's not only a mechanical issue. It should be part of building the personality, the character of the citizen. Therefore, it applies to all students. It applies to all non-students as well. Or for all young people who are out of school, they should be able to access this education, because this is needed for everyone. These life skills, these are according to the joint UN platform. There are 15 topics that has been that there should be given as a one package for every student, for every young person, whether at school or at school. So, and I feel that this issue should be part of the curriculum. It should be part of the programs at the youth centers, but also we should educate parents not to be shy to speak about these issues, because this is very important. The first education that we get it from our parents. So WHO came with the model that let's have early marriage and late babies in the old days, in the 70s. But this program has failed totally. Why? Because once marriage happened, Parents start nagging, tuck, 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 tuck. Where is the baby? Where is the baby? Where is the baby? Did you have something? Tell us. What are the good news? I remember when I got married, and although I got married at the age of 29, and we decided with my wife and myself, let's have 2 years so that I can just improve my economic situation at that years. She said, okay, let's have 2 years. After 1 month, my grandmama started, take her to doctor. I learned there is a new doctor there. He's very good. Maybe they cheated you. She cannot get babies. So the issue is to have early marriage and late birth, the doctor. So now we have to decide and agree what are the qualification of a man. So if you want to have a mom, how this mom or papa as well, what are expected from this papa or mama to be handling in the family? So in my opinion, and this is what I told my daughter, I said, look, you have to have your full education, you have to have a job, you have to have your own place. Then if you find a guy and you love him and you want to continue, that's fine. But if you find somebody that you will not be able to continue with, you continue your life. You will not become a victim. Why gender-based violence happens? Gender-based violence happens because there are no choices for mamas, for girls. If they have a choice, they will leave. If they have jobs, they will leave. And let me tell you one thing. If they have jobs, level of violence will go down. Then she become a partner in the economic decisions. So she will have expanded role within the family.
As you talked about child marriage, I was very curious to ask that what is your opinion on child marriage? Because in some cases, people are very against it, right? And in some cases, it is a normal culture for them.
And child has to enjoy childhood. Therefore, in any case, I am against child marriage before the age of 18. In all cases. What I prefer that any girl want to get married, she has to complete her education first. And she has to equip herself with the tools that does not allow any opportunity in the future to become a victim of violence. And this applies also to the boy. In order to be able to be responsible for family, he has to complete his education. Education is the most important asset. It's the most important change maker in the lives of families.
Makes you a mature man as well before getting married.
Of course.
Dr. Luay, I was wondering when you said child marriages, with child marriages come early pregnancies also. And we also see that in Pakistan, a large number of mothers, they die during childbirth. But despite that, Pakistan also produces a large number of doctors, particularly women, every year. So where do you see the gaps? Is it in infrastructure, resources, or how do you see it?
The challenge of child marriage, we have a trajectory in UNFPA. We start from a girl of 10 years old. We say this girl has two trajectories. One, which is the bad trajectory, is that she dropped from school.
Yes.
Once she dropped from school, immediately the second step is thinking of her marriage. And once she's married, she will get a baby.
Yeah.
So she will be uneducated mother with babies. And because she is young, she will have too many babies. And then she will not be able to take care of her health.
Yes.
And then she will become burden on her husband, on her family, and the community. The other trajectory, keep the girl at school until she complete all her education. Then she will marry at later stage. And she has the chance to work. So she will be an accelerator and supporter to her family rather than being a burden. Now, what are the accelerators for this? Two things. The first one is the sexual health and sexual education. because she can understand her rights. And the second, women empowerment.
So since we're talking about reproductive health, I was thinking, what if you get a chance to put one sentence around reproductive health on giant big billboards in every city around Pakistan? What would be that one sentence?
Sexuality education is the right for everyone. And body is the something that is private, and everyone has the right to be autonomous in this.
Yes. I think this is really powerful sentence, but do you also think that language matters in our context, particularly when we have these conversations around how do we ensure that we are very respectful and are able to navigate these conversations in such contexts that are really hard to put forward this?
When somebody speaks about what he or she feels, this is respectful. How to address that in the context of the culture? Yes, I agree to that. And the culture has to be respected, because the culture is part of our identity. We should not push people to become different persons. Everyone has to be him or herself. Everyone has to respect his religion. But I'm Muslim. I'm coming from a Muslim family, and I'm telling you, I'm a good practitioner for Islam. Islam did not prevent us from speaking about these issues. Islam, the most important value that Islam brought to us is freedom, the freedom of choice. So this is the most important value that Islam brought to us. But I'm telling you, all this suppression that we are facing is coming from the culture. It's not coming from the religion.
Dr. Luay, coming back to gender-based violence, do you think the fear of harassment and violence is the barrier for a boy or a girl to work or to live or to study?
For girls, yes, definitely. Not in Pakistan, everywhere. But in Pakistan is too much, from my own observations. Because, again, I go back to the culture. If you have an adolescent or a mature woman has been exposed to rape, the whole community will blame her, although she's a victim. It is in this culture, victims are blamed. And this is why UNFPA introduced what we call it victim-centered approach, which means that victims has to be believed, protected, and supported. And if we're speaking today about the theme of young people, they will never be granted their rights. If they don't take it, nobody will give it to them.
On building on the question by Sarim, Dr. Luay, we were already facing challenges around harassment that happens on the street or in public spaces. But now, because of digital landscape, where we see it as a huge potential for inculcating LSBE or giving them a platform, but we also see with digital platforms, we also see an increase in digital violence. Now, do you think that we were already managing the violence beyond that, and now we have another challenge to deal with? Do we have enough resources? I do feel like we are actually in a mess right now.
The whole world is in a mess, but it depends on the angle that you look at. If you want to keep counting challenges after challenges, you will sit at home. But if you want to live, and if you believe that living is your right, you have the right of life, you have to push back and you have to fight. Anyone harass you should be punished, not by a state only. But we should raise our voices to tell the state, look, this is your duty. I need to enjoy a safe space in my country. Otherwise, I will flee the country. Therefore, I think again and again I say, we young people are the game changer of this. If they push back, everything will change.
Indeed. And do you think we have enough focus around psychosocial well-being of young people who particularly go through digital violence?
So governments are driven by demand.
Indeed.
If there is a demand, they will do. Therefore, in my opinion, Pakistanis are not different from other cultures in South Asia.
Dr. Luay, we have been talking about life skill-based education, reproductive health, access to digital resources as well. I was wondering, youth is not one homogeneous group, but we have young people with disabilities, people who are hard of hearing, visually impaired, wheelchair bound, and they all have their different bodily needs. For example, menstruators with disabilities. Do you see that we have inclusive and accessible LSB as well as digital resources so that whatever we are talking about, they also reach to that group?
Yeah, the answer is it's work in progress. There is some initiatives in Pakistan, but there is much yet to be done. I think we are not doing enough for this. I do remember that one of the outcomes of the Spain conference on global funding for development is that no sustainability without inclusion, and no development achievement without gender equality. So inclusion is really very important, and I think this level people deserve more.
If you have any current initiatives, what do those look like? Or if you don't, then what would you want them to look like?
Look, the UN has a disability strategy, and UNFPA we have policy for this, and I'm sure that also Pakistan has, but this is something that needs to work more, because we still families are shy about their disability, and when I used to be working as a statistician, people do not report, particularly among girls. If a girl has any disability, they don't want to say. They just keep her behind. Therefore, we need to speak about this, because this is something natural that it's everywhere in every nation. And I think we have to work more on this. What we have been doing is good. We have some good initiatives. We have learning. We discuss our reproductive needs for disabled people. And there is in the UN something called leaving no one behind, is looking at the vulnerables, minorities, disabled people, old people, all these categories. We focus on them more, but I think this is
So here I would like to mention that Youth Peer Network has some really good interventions and initiatives around people with disabilities and their reproductive health. So maybe all those young people who would like to work around it, they could be a part of Youth Peer Network by UNFPA. And since I was talking to Sarim about it in the morning, we were having a discourse around digital violence and intersectionality of gender-based violence and these unique identities.
The survivors of gender-based violence are ignored and their voices are silenced. I don't know why. So I had a question related to that what do you think that the society still struggles to take these voices?
In fact, there is progress in Pakistan in this. We have helplines, we have shelters, we have networks, referral systems. I don't think the problem is with the mechanisms and structures in Pakistan. The challenge is still the trust between between people, women or men who are subject to violence, and these structures. Sometimes women are not convinced that if she go to the police center, she can complain, and she's not sure if the people when she's complaining to maybe become perpetrator for violence. And it happened in many other countries where police were harassing women who come to make complaints against their husbands or against their parents. UNFPA is working on this. The local governments, the provincial governments are working on this. Now they have more and more women in the police centers that is looking at this issue. We have introduced one-stop cell for survivors of violence, where we have the police, the legal advisor, and also the health practitioner, and they are located in the main hospitals, so that they are able to survive. But this is again, it's another issue that in the social norms that needs to be changed in Pakistan.
Dr. Loy, I have witnessed many cases of harassment around me, and what do you think what role do education and awareness play in breaking the cycle of gender-based violence.
Yeah, this.
And also, it's not just constrained to women, but men as well.
Yeah, of course, true.
Transgenders and
And guys, what is this one?
Yeah, let's speak about men.
Yeah, okay.
Because men also are victims of the culture. Because when a man, the problem in the social norms is that they put templates for people. You have to act this way. This is the man how the man is supposed to be behaving.
How about we make some forums for men to speak as well? I mean, a lot of talk has been done for the women out there. I mean, Sarim just pointed out that men are also victims.
I think we always think about the whole community. We're speaking about the family, where we speak about the well-being of us as human beings. But because in our countries women are more suppressed, therefore there is focus on this. But definitely there's a problem with the men as well as victims, and I think we have to address this issue of social norms to speak more and more and to allow men to speak about that.
I would like to bring the conversation towards misogyny and internalized misogyny that you would have within women themselves, where they believe that, yes, men are superior because they've been conditioned to think this way. Now, when it comes to victims of sexual assault, right, when you have men that are misogynist and you also have women that now have internalized misogyny and would also victim blame their fellow women, how do you believe we can overcome this type of obstacle?
I think we need to make a reform for the family. The family has to become a guardian for rights. Why this from where this superiority comes? When a woman prepares her daughter to become a bride, okay, you have to listen to your mama. You have to listen to your husband. If you are beaten, don't push back. You have to serve your mother-in-law. You have to serve your father-in-law. You have to do, you have to do, you have to do, you have to do. This is the sort of education that she's getting as she leaves her house. And this is the education is given to the men. Don't allow her to shout. Don't allow her to raise her voice. You are the man. You are the driving to the seat. She has to follow you. So again and again, I say, we have to change the power structure in the house and to disengage two things. First, religion from culture, so that we can change the culture, but we cannot change religion. So whatever culture, we have the duty to change it. And the second that we have to disengage is to look at the power structure in the family. The family has to become the guardian of rights. If the girl is unable to speak up within the family, how the state will expect from her to be voter in the political life? Therefore, this issue is really very important, and we have to address grandmamas, because grandmamas are the guardians of the social norm. They are even more than grandfathers. They are less tolerant when it comes to the social norms.
But as you said, grandmas and grandpas both are responsible, and then young people. So I think every individual, irrespective of their age, are equal stakeholders. So maybe we can think around intergenerational dialogue and intergenerational equity.
Yeah, I think this is extremely important. There is something I have seen in Pakistan, and sorry that I didn't see in many countries in the Arab region. The young people who run away from the family, the percentage of girls who run away to get married to somebody from the family is much higher in Pakistan if I compare it to all Arab countries. And the main reason for this is lack of dialogue and the suppression. So I think this issue needs to be looked at by anthropologists in Pakistan and social scientists, because this is really I didn't see in many countries. The percentage of girls who run away, and also boys who run away because they were unable to convince their parents with their point of view. Therefore, this issue of dialogue among the generations extremely important for us.
Yeah, Dr. Luay, since I work with young girls who have been sexually groomed and then they become pregnant, and then there had been cases where we have these young people living with us in few of our spaces. They are not being taken by their families because families now believe that once they come back, their lives of other siblings would be impacted. And now also these young girls are traumatized, and then
That's true.
they do not have any resources again because we didn't invest in their education, we didn't invest in their economic empowerment. Now we are unable to integrate them into the society, you know. So, and then how you see that again coming on this basic question of this youth bulge to be productive, it's a vicious cycle.
Yeah, it's not a business cycle in particular. If we lead discussion among anthropologists, social scientists, government, civil society, young people, of course, to agree that we have to confess with the problems and to find what are the root causes of these problems. Most of the root causes of the problems in the social arena is suppression, the freedom of expression.
So just being a young person now, I'm thinking when you say suppression of our choices also, I see it as a lack of agency.
Exactly.
As the parents, when we grow older, do you really think that we become really conscious of power and control we should be having on our siblings or our kids? And that's why we just hardly give other the chance of choice or agency to make decisions. Is it something innate? How do you see it?
I think this is an important issue, and it is a work in progress in many countries. But I feel that Pakistan needs to do more about it, to agree that everybody is responsible for his own body. This is one responsibility. Nobody can be speaking on behalf of others, even if this other is his or her son or daughter. Therefore, I think this. Again, going to our Islam, the freedom as a value has to be improved at the community level in Pakistan, in my opinion.
This is something I would like to disagree with Jayaa on, where she said ki you have grandmothers, you have all different people in the family as equal stakeholders, right? And I would use this to shift over to the next topic, because understand that when you have younger people, I believe they are bigger stakeholders in this scenario, because they face either more oppression and they face more issues, not only from their family, but also from their friends. And now, because of the very integrated digital world, they also face violence through that. So when you talk about, especially, let's say, for example, if I upload to a public account, I then face the risk of having to face digital violence, so much so to the extent that you have things like AI, where someone could take my image and use it as pornography against my will, right? So when it comes to these types of things and digital violence, and you have more and more stressors for young people, how are they supposed to deal with certain things, especially when it comes to young influencers who might be making a living off of these things, and they can't really make their accounts private now, can they?
And then they've got stalkers.
Yes,
I'll add on.
That instance.
Yeah, and then when your grandparents then ask you as a girl to not have that online presence, I understand that the burden is there. So it again limits young women to be online. So it's again victim blaming, because you were online, that's why you were killed, that's why your picture was taken. So if you will not be online, there would be no pictures, there would be no issues.
You've seen this with several cases when it comes in Pakistan. Like, for example, Ahson Yusuf, who was continuously victim blamed because, oh, you posted yourself, yeah, you deserve what you got. So how can you break that cycle, and how can women protect themselves when it comes to this digital violence?
Those statements don't justify the acts.
Yes.
My 2 cents on that would be that there has to be a certain age where you allow the children to go and have the exposure of social media. In terms of that, they have to know that they're responsible for what the actions are over there, and they need to know how to tackle with the people that are interacting with them. And there has to be somebody who's navigating the whole process.
I would like to think that there's less responsibility on the person that's uploading, because at this point, I think the digital education that you have is very great amongst anyone that's posting themselves. They know that there's a risk that I could be, subjugated to all these things. What I think that there should be a better focus on is, these social media moderators, where they will make money from, these images and all these things circulating around because it brings over traffic, right? However, when they don't moderate these things, you have more perpetrators coming in, right?
Dr. Liu, sorry to cut you off. Dr. Liu, have you experienced something of this sort in any other state that you've worked in?
Globally, it's there. But let me say that there are three elements in this matter. The state has the obligation to ensure everybody is safe in the digital and the actual web. And the parliament has the responsibility to make the laws that also save people. The third part is to what extent we young people, when somebody like Sana Yusuf is become a victim, we support. Because if there is community support, many people will be encouraged to continue. But if we blame the victim, the problem is not with the victim. The victim is already become a victim. Yeah. But the problem is that many other people, they become afraid to go on. Therefore, in my opinion, speaking up is very important.
And I think maybe going back a little back to that discussion, maybe I felt that we were still putting a little burden on women being online, that we need to manage our risk and see, we are putting our pictures or whatever content we are putting over there, and then our followers would be deciding how we are behaving. Maybe we need to shift this focus on, no matter at what age you are online, no matter what kind of content you are putting online, if someone harasses you online, if someone murders you, nothing justifies that. And I think this also brings in the concept of consent, because people sometimes misunderstand it that, you put a picture online, it means you have the consent to it. So maybe, Dr. Liu, this is where I think if you can give a clarity on this concept that sometimes if a woman puts a picture with a certain kind of attire, then people say, you're putting a picture by yourself, you're fine with it, but if we share it, it's not fine, because there's a fine line of consent. How do you see it?
Yeah, thank you very much, Jaya, for this question. It is very important. It is in the heart of the global discussion about this. Therefore, I think we have to keep advocating that it is the right for everyone to go on their social media. It is the responsibility of the government to provide the protection. It is the responsibility of us to have solidarity with all victims, because this is the only path for making the change.
Yes, and I hope in future we'll be having such generations where everyone would be having safe spaces in public as well as on digital platforms, where no one has to worry about the risk of putting their thoughts, ideologies,
Absolutely. But also at the end of the day, also we should keep in mind that there is responsibility
indeed
for the influencers themselves on the content they broadcasting and following influencers, following supporters is not justifying to do anything.
Yeah, I think that this is where I can say that having this clear description of putting on content, if you're an influencer that is responsible, you become a civic responsibility actually. You take that. So there is no misinformation. You do research and you put something, the kind of content that is harm. And I think it's as easy or as difficult as hate speech versus freedom of speech.
Well, and I feel sorry for you guys and your young generation. We didn't been exposed to this. If you want something, we go to the library and read it from the book. But here you are blended with lots of information. And maybe if you look at the social media, maybe 70-80% is fake information. It's not true, and it's not based on good foundation. So you have to work harder and harder to be able to pick up what is the right.
Isn't that a lot of burden on young people? I feel like all the burden is now on my shoulders.
Yeah, it is a burden. This is what I feel sorry for you.
Do you think this misinformation helps perpetuate digital violence and gender-based violence?
I think gender-based violence is originated in our culture, in our readiness to do that.
Is it perpetuated by social media?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so. Because, look, social media has shown us what is there.
Okay.
It didn't add on it. Violence was there, but now more people have the mean to speak and to give their voice to the others. But violence was there all the time. All the time.
Dr. Luay, in our conversations, sometimes when my friends say, oh, I reported an ID because that person was having hate comments on my account, I sometimes think that, okay, we report an ID, we block an ID, even the account is deleted. The person, the thought is still there in the society.
Look, all this, now let's move to politics. all this policies that are being done by the Facebook and others, TikTok, are politically driven.
Indeed.
Speak something about Palestine, they will block you. We need to have for our own community. What are the triggers and what are the norms that we should do in order to protect our people, to give them the space to choose and select and to be responsible.
Again, because since those individuals who are putting things online, they are humans, they are people who, if not putting that content online, they would be exhibiting that behavior with their family members.
Agreed.
So again, from digital spaces, we need to come back to our homes, our families, our friends, and have that community of maybe peer educators to continue to amplify these efforts. Maybe, Sarim, what do you think around this as a young guy who might be having responsibilities?
I think that responsibilities in a very young age is a very good thing because a guy or a man becomes more mature and more responsible when he knows that he has this much responsibilities on him. And Dr. Loy, I also had a question on social norms, that what kind of social change do you believe is necessary for the youth to feel empowered in their relationships and future plans?
Look, social norms is a long journey, and it has to go through this normal delivery of changing the culture. But we have to start somewhere. I think Pakistan has already started in many areas. Things are moving, although it's slower than should be, in my opinion. But it's changing. You go and look at the cafes here and there. You can see that there is a change is taking place. I think and in my discussion over the 3 years I have in Pakistan, I don't think this country lacks knowledge. I don't think this country lacks structures. I don't think this country lacks mechanisms. I think it lacks leadership to change. The actual, genuine will for change. Because change is very difficult. It's a journey that you have to fight with everyone almost in the society. But it's very much needed for young people. Therefore, I think you guys, you have a lot to shoulder. You are shouldering, and you need to address as you go in the journey of life. Thank you very much for being here. Bye-bye.
Thank you to you, Dr.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. God bless you.